Winter is coming. Many people put their drones away this time of year, but do you have to do this? The answer is no. If you learn how to read the weather like an aviator, you can actually fly just normally. Let's have a look. Cue the music. Hi everyone, Stephen from the Flyby Guys. If you like drones and you like to learn new things, especially from the professional side, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel because we are giving you tips and tricks and know-how for the drone industry. And this is straight from the operations point of view because we do this on a daily basis. So you're getting some good information from the top. So winter is here. Many people think that it's time to put their drones away, but you don't really have to do that. All you really need to do is to understand the weather. Now, you can look outside and say, yeah, okay, it's raining, I don't have to fly today. And yeah, that would be right. But when the temperature starts to dip, that's when people think that they shouldn't be flying. And they're probably right, but there are good indications to show that you can fly when it's very cold. And those indications are METARs. Today we're going to be looking at METARs, and METARs are weather information from the airport to aviators. So what is a METAR? A METAR is a routine weather report issued by an airport, and it's in international format so that everyone all over the world can read the same. And the format that is given is very, very specific. And we're going to have a look at this, and this will help you judge whether you can fly or not fly, especially when it's very, very cold. Let's have a look now. So this is a typical METAR, and it's made up of 11 separate pieces of information. First of all, you have a number 1, which is the type of report, which is a METAR. And secondly, you have the station identifier, which is the airport that is actually delivering the METAR. Next, you have the date and time of the report. And then next you have the modifier, which is giving you that this is an automatic. Next you'll have the wind, and it will give you the directions by degrees, and then you'll have the wind speed, which is in knots. So here it's 140 degrees at 21 knots with a gust of 26 knots. If you want a conversion, going half of knots is usually kilometers. So you can say that this wind would be running at around 10 kilometers per hour with gusts of about 13 kilometers per hour. Next, you'll have the visibility, and here you can see that it's almost 3/4 of a mile. And then the weather, it can be rain, it can also give you other indications, and then you can have the sky condition as well. The sky condition is not really important for drone use, but what we want to be looking at here is the temperature on number 9. So temperature and dew point. So you'll see these two digits, so 18 and 17. This is your dew point and temperature. So temperature's first, and then you have dew point. When these numbers are close together around freezing point, this is when it's dangerous. So if you have 00, 00 or 00 M00, M00 will be minus. That means that there is a very, very high chance of freezing on your propellers. And this is what you really need to be looking for. So even though this says 18 and 17, we're not at freezing, so it's okay. But if you had, let's say, 3 or 4 degrees and then you had minus, that wouldn't be so bad, but there would be a risk of freezing. If it was 1 degree, so 01 and minus 00, then you would have a high chance of freezing on your propellers. What we call that is a spread. A spread is more than 1. So if you have a spread of 3, which would be 3 degrees and 0 degrees, that would be in the risky part. But if you had a spread of 5, which would be 5 degrees and then 0 degrees, that would be a wider spread, which would be a lot safer. So the larger the spread, the safer it is when you're at the 0 point. So if you have, for example, -1 would be the temperature, and then it would be -2 dew point. That would be very, very risky, and there's a big chance of freezing on your propellers. And also, this can also give you the cloud cover as well. So if you wanted to know how high the clouds were, if the spread is 1, then that would be 300 feet of cloud. If the spread is 2, then it would be 600 feet. So each spread is 300 feet. So if you have a spread of 3, so if it's 3 degrees and it would be 0 degrees, let's say dew point, then you would have a cloud cover height of 900 feet. So that's where it's very handy to know. So this is this is why the aviators use METARs, and it's very handy for the drone users as well. So where can we use this? How can we find this? What we use for our operations now is windy.com. Windy.com gives you very accurate weather all over the world. So it doesn't matter where you're doing operations, whether we're here in Helsinki or whether we are somewhere else in another part of Europe. We can still get the same type of weather reports using METARs, and that's how we judge whether we can fly or not, or any precautions that we have to take. Let's have a look at windy.com. Windy.com is a great application which gives you access to weather wherever you are, but also airports. Here we can have a look at the METAR for Helsinki. I don't want to focus on this because it's not that cold here at the moment, because we only have 6 degrees with a 6 degrees dew point as well. But let's go up north. Let's go to Lapland, the land of Santa Claus. Let's find Kuusamo. Kuusamo is a good place because it's usually cold at this time of year. There we have Kuusamo there. So if we open up Kuusamo, we can see the METAR, and we can see here quite clearly that it's -4 with a -4 for dew point as well. So this is a very high risk of freezing on the propellers. So very, very good to know that you not only do you have freezing on the propellers, but there's a very minimal amount of cloud as well. So the clouds are very low. So this gives you a good indication of how you can fly, where you can fly, and how safe it is to fly. Not just by looking outside and sticking your head out the window, but actually looking at the actual data. Now, this is how the aviators fly. This is how they judge when they come into land or when they go and take off. So when we can also do the same. It's easy for our operations. If you have to fly, maybe you don't want to have an accident. Maybe you don't want to lose visual line of sight of your drone because the clouds are too low. You can get that information here. Maybe you don't want to have frozen propellers and maybe lose your drone. One way to also know if your propellers are freezing is to hear the motors running a bit slower when they're in the air. I think in the DJI Go 4 app, you can also see the revs as well of the motors. And if you see that starting to dip, that's a good indication that maybe there's some ice on the propellers. But if you use windy.com, check the METARs, then you won't have that in the first place. So what about you? Will you start using METARs for your drone operations? Whether you're a hobbyist or whether you're on the professional side, we all have to be safe. So to make sure that your drone will be safe and others around you, it's always good to use METARs. Anyway, thanks for watching. Until the next video, fly safe.